Hey everyone, you're with Tesla Tom. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are heading off to the Gold Coast on our family road trip in our Tesla Model 3 here in Australia. And we are currently on the Pacific Motorway and I'm using Autopilot. It's going to be a great trip. First up will be Heatherbrae and we'll grab some lunch before that. And then as we are having lunch, we'll be charging at the same time. So it shouldn't take too much time to top up. And then we'll head into Port Macquarie for the next charging stop. All right, we'll see you very soon at the Heatherbrae Supercharger. So I should explain to you that the purpose of this video is not to get from Sydney to the Gold Coast in record time, but instead I wanted to show you all the Tesla Superchargers between the two destinations. So make sure you stay to the very end of the video where I go through the recommended journey by a Better Route Planner, and I'll compare how that differed to our actual real-world journey between Sydney and the Gold Coast. So I figured this is an excellent opportunity to introduce you to my high-speed charging station score, i.e. the HSC scoring system, and that way we can objectively compare each DC charging location that we visit on our road trips. So the HSC score will be out of 50, and there are 5 categories, each category being out of 10, and of course I'll leave a link to the HSC score in the video description below for you to check out for yourselves. Alright, so the first category is charging speed, and this is pretty straightforward. Points will be allocated for the speed of each stall and then divided by the number of stalls. For example, if you've got one 50 kilowatt and one 350 kilowatt stall, then it's 4 points plus 10 points equals 14 divided by 2, which means that location gets 7 points for the charging speed category. Version 2 Tesla Superchargers get 7 points and version 3 Tesla Superchargers get 9 points. The next category is number of stalls, and again this is quite self-explanatory, 1 point for each stall, minus 1 point for each stall that's not operational during my visit. The next category is ease of access. All locations start with 10 points, and points are deducted for various factors, such as if the location is not open 24 hours, if it's difficult to find for a new user, if a detour is required from the main road, if there's poor quality access, for example potholes, if there's risk of damage to the cars, for example if there are tight turns, if it's easily or frequently iced by non-EVs, if there are no waiting bays, if it's a busy location, or for any other reason, 1 point is deducted from the starting 10 points. The next category is safety, and again locations start with 10 points, and points are deducted if it's not undercover, if it's dangerous due to traffic, if there's poor lighting, if there's no obvious CCTV, if there's no nearby assistance that's available 24 hours a day, if there's any real or perceived threat, or for any other reason, 1 point will be deducted. The final category is amenities. All locations start with 5 points. 1 point is awarded if there is a 24-hour bathroom, if there's a 24-hour convenience store, if there is an air compressor available for use, if there is running water with a squeegee, if there is a nearby park or playground or lounge, or for any other reason, 1 point can be awarded. Conversely, 1 point can be deducted if there is no bathroom within a 5-minute walk, if there's no convenience store within a 5-minute walk, if there's no nearby bins, or if it's in a general state of uncleanliness, or for any other reason, 1 point can be deducted. Alright, so let's apply this new scoring system to our first charging stop, Heatherbrae, just north of Newcastle, New South Wales. Okay, so here we are at Heatherbrae Tesla Supercharger. Let's plug in. Got the CCS2 one up the top here. Press the button, charge port opens, and we're plugging in. Okay, it's gone green, means it's working. Excellent. Now there are 6 stalls here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Access is pretty good off the highway there, as you can see, both southbound and northbound, very easy. And there's some rubbish bins there, so very good. This keeps the place nice and tidy. Pretty acceptable in terms of cleanliness. Lighting wise, you can see a bit of lighting from the establishment next door. In terms of safety, I think it's pretty good because there's a Ampol service station just over there, literally walking distance. And presumably there are bathrooms in there as well. I might go check that out in a second. And yes, access is 24 hours here. So yes, very convenient spot here in Heatherbrae, en route to further destinations northbound and also back home to Sydney. All right, so we've got enough to get on our way, so Joy's going to unplug. Excellent, very easy. And I did go into the Ampol service station there just across the car park here, and yep, it's open 24 hours. There are definitely bathroom facilities in there. There's actually decent food in there too with coffee, so a good place to stop. And there are waiting bays here as well in case these chargers are full. That's always handy to know. And I think it's very unlikely these spots will be iced, given there's a petrol station right there. The only thing I'll say about this spot is that it's not undercover, unfortunately. So it's exposed to the elements. That's one thing. And there was a few potholes on the road into this supercharger station here. So hopefully that'll be fixed up with all the rains that we've had. All right, so let's head off now to Port Macquarie. And that will be our destination for tonight before heading off to the Gold Coast tomorrow. Okay, so for the Heatherbrae Tesla Supercharger location, I've given 7 points for charging speed because it's a version 2 supercharger, 6 points because there are 6 stalls, 9 points for ease of access. This location lost a point because there were quite a few deep potholes when entering the car park. For safety, I've given Heatherbrae 8 points. It lost a point because it's not undercover. Also lost another point because there's no obvious CCTV that I could see. However, because it's located right next to the Ampol service station that's open 24 hours a day, help is not too far away if you ever need it. And finally, for amenities, I've given this the maximum score of 10 points, mainly because it's next door to the 24-hour Ampol service station. Bonus points are awarded for 24-hour bathroom, 24-hour convenience store, air compressor, water and squeegee, and of course a nearby place you can sit indoors for a rest inside the Ampol service station. Therefore, Heatherbrae in New South Wales gets a HSC score of 40 out of 50 or 80%. So I drove the majority of this trip on Autopilot, and can I just say it's much easier driving it this way on long journeys. The car is doing most of the work. All you're doing is basically monitoring the road, but still keeping your hands on the steering wheel for any evasive maneuvers you may have to take. And because we've got the full self-driving package, lane changing to overtake slower vehicles is an absolute breeze because you don't have to brake autopilot, and the car is able to change lanes, overtake, and then safely return back to the left lane very easily. And of course, this is also available with enhanced autopilot as well. Alright, so here we are at Cassegrain, Port Macquarie Supercharger. Alright, Joy's going to plug in. Excellent. Alright, turning green. Let's go check it out. Okay, so beautiful location here at Port Macquarie, Cassegrain Wineries for a Tesla Supercharger. Access is reasonable from the highway there. The road's not sealed completely, so just be careful with the entry there. A few potholes in the ground, a bit of a bumpy ride in. But once you're in, lovely surrounds. And of course the winery is just around here. There's some waiting bays there in case the chargers are full on peak hours. But there's the winery there. There is a restaurant up there, closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, just beware. And otherwise Wednesdays to Sundays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There are bathrooms in there as well. Pretty well lit as well. There's some lighting there above the chargers, so I think they'll be okay at night time. Pretty safe area, I think. Yeah, nice place for a charger indeed. So here's the winery, Cassegrain. There's the restaurant on the left. Entry to the cellar, and bathrooms on the right there. I guess the restaurant is not open every day, and the only thing about this place is that there's no convenience store if you do come after hours or outside of those times. So just be wary of that as well. So there are 6 version 2 Tesla Supercharger stalls. So pretty clean area overall. Not too much rubbish on the floor here, which is nice. And just take note also it's not undercover, so not protected from the elements. But there's the lighting there. So I imagine it's fairly safe because it'll be quite well lit after hours. Okay, so Joy's going to unplug now. We're all done. Excellent. And I should note too that there's actually an entrance and exit, I guess, on this side of the charging location. And that is pretty easy access to the rest of the highway. So if you don't want to go through the gravelly bit, through the vineyards, then this is a better way in and out of the chargers here at Port Macquarie. So we stayed overnight in Port Macquarie, New South Wales, just to break up the journey. We weren't in any particular rush, but of course that meant adding about 40 minutes to the overall driving time because it takes 20 minutes to get from the Tesla Supercharger in Port Macquarie into Port Macquarie proper itself. So make sure you factor that in when you compare our driving time against the recommended route by a betterrouteplanner.com. I'll of course go through all that at the end of this video. Morning everyone, we're just leaving Port Macquarie on the way to the Gold Coast today. First stop will be Coffs Harbour at the Park Beach Plaza Tesla Superchargers for a quick early lunch. And then we might actually stop at Maclean. I believe it's called Maclean Superchargers. It's a place I've not been to before. And then we'll have afternoon tea at Knockrow at the Macadamia Castle for the final charge before we head into the Gold Coast today. Just letting you know, we stayed in Port Macquarie overnight and we left the Casa Green Superchargers with 90% state of charge, and this morning left with 81% state of charge. So we lost 9% to get into town and back again, and a bit of loss overnight as well from just general battery management and sentry mode. All right, we're going to hit the open road, and we'll see you very shortly at Coffs Harbour. All right, so it's time to give Port Macquarie, New South Wales Tesla Supercharger a HSC score. Okay, so for charging speed, I've given it 7 out of 10 because it's a Tesla V2 Supercharger, 6 points for number of stalls, 9 points for ease of access. I deducted a point because it may not be easy to find for the new user. As I showed before, there is access through the service road. However, the new user may go through the gravel road through the winery, which can take a bit longer, and also there is risk of damage to the car because there are some potholes as well. I've given it a safety score of 7 out of 10 because 1, it's not undercover, 2, there is no obvious CCTV that I can see, and 3, because the winery is not open 24 hours a day, there's no nearby assistance all the time. And finally, for amenities, I've given it a score of 7 out of 10. 1 extra point because the bathroom is open 24 hours a day. I confirmed that with the winery staff. And another extra point because it is a winery. You can hop in there for a quick tasting session and pick up some nice wines for yourself. I'm deducting 1 point because there is no convenience store nearby. I realise there is a restaurant on site, but they're not open every day. So for Port Macquarie, New South Wales Tesla Supercharger location, I'm giving it a HSC score of 36 out of 50 or 72%. Okay, so welcome to Coffs Harbour everyone. Let's plug in. Press the button. Flap goes up. Cool. Okay, so quick scout of this location. It's a 24-hour access. Pretty easy to find once you plug it into your Tesla's nav. Pretty well lit. Lots of lighting here on the car park lights. Very well signed as well, so easy to spot. Big Tesla logo there. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stalls. Excellent. And the shops are literally just right there. So this is the Park Beach Plaza shops. Toilets, restaurants, cafes, etc. Okay, so I literally just walked back from the food court and I timed how long it took. I walked at a leisurely pace and the clock stopped at 4 minutes and 39 seconds, so I wasn't rushing. The rest of the family is still in the food court having lunch. I just came back here because it is getting close to 100%, and that's what I do when we're having lunch. I normally do top it up as much as I can, within the limits of the idle fees, of course. But what I do now is unplug and move the car somewhere else so someone else can charge, and also so I don't get idle fees. And then once the family's finished lunch, we'll head on our way to the next supercharging stop. Very easy. Okay, so we're done. Let's stop charging, press this button, and unplug. Put it back into the supercharger cradle. Easy as you like. Great location. I love charging here at Coffs Harbour. And a few other Teslas have rocked up as well to charge. And look, this place is actually pretty good, pretty clean, because there are rubbish bins nearby. That I quite like. And there's also some waiting bays as well. In case it gets busy, you can leave your car there, or once you finish charging, you can also park there as well. There's no limit to the car park, so park here as long as you like to have your lunch, do a bit of shopping even. Yeah, great location. Okay, so for Coffs Harbour, New South Wales Tesla Supercharger, I'm giving it a charging speed score of 7 out of 10 because it's a Tesla V2 Supercharger, 6 points for number of stalls, 10 points for ease of access. You can't ask for much more than this. It's available 24 hours a day, not hard to find at all, pretty close to the main road and very easy to access, being a shopping centre car park. Plenty of waiting bays in case it gets busy, and because it's not close to the shop entrance, it's unlikely to get iced. For safety, I'm giving it a score of 9 out of 10. The parking spots are mostly undercover, at least the charging part is anyway, and that's the most important part. There's good lighting, there's CCTV, but I'm deducting 1 point because the shopping centre is not open 24 hours a day, and the service station across the road is only open until 9 PM, so help is not always available 24/7. I'm giving it a score of 7 out of 10 for amenities, 1 extra point because there is a place to sit down in the shopping centre, and being a shopping centre itself, 1 extra bonus point to keep you entertained while your car is charging. So overall for Coffs Harbour, New South Wales Tesla Supercharger location, I'm giving it a HSC score of 39 out of 50 or 78%. Okay, welcome to the town of Maclean, and Joy is going to plug in for us.
I actually legitimately need to do a spider check.
Oh, there's an actual spider today.
No, is there an
I'll get it for you. Wow, spider web.
No, I can do it.
I'll get it.
I was happy to still do it.
No, there you go. That's for you. There we go. Okay. So we're actually in a trailer spot because the other 3 spots have been taken up with other Teslas, so that's good. Quite a popular spot. There are 4 version 2 Superchargers here, 1, 2, 3 there, and then we are in the 4th one here. It's a version 2 because there are 2 plugs, CCS2 and Type 2 as well. And I say trailer because it's on this side rather than sort of in front there where the other 3 are. But then again, it's not a very long spot, so if you had a trailer behind your car, then you would probably be sticking out a little bit and kind of on the road because there are other spots here as well. See, there are other cars here. This looks like there might be some food and bathrooms there in that facility, so we might go check that out. There's the bridge over there that we just crossed, you might have seen in the video. And this is actually a good spot for Yamba, just on the coast here, so great location once again by Tesla. Access is pretty easy off the main road there, which is the bridge, as you saw in the video, and the road end is pretty good. It's pretty clean as well, I can see. In terms of general cleanliness, not too much rubbish around, so quite like that. Although having said that, there's a few coffee cups lids there and cigarette packets, so could be better, but not terrible by any means. It's a nice little jetty here, just across the road from the Supercharger. Nice view of the river. Nice shot of the bridge. Okay, so just next to the Superchargers, there is a hotel here with a restaurant and bar with bathrooms. And they've got very late opening hours as well at the Harwood Hotel. So good to have these facilities right next to the Tesla Supercharger. Okay, so Joy's unplugging. There we go. Excellent. All right, next up will be Macadamia Castle at Knockrow. So for the Maclean, New South Wales Tesla Supercharging location, 7 points for charging speed because it's a Tesla version 2 Supercharger, 4 points for number of stalls, 10 points for ease of access. It's very easy to find and not a major detour at all off the M1 road. I've never actually stopped at this Supercharger location, and prior to this journey, I would have said this is the optional stop and leave Knockrow further up as your main charging stop for the afternoon. However, now that the road is completed between Coffs Harbour and the Gold Coast, where it's now a 2-lane dual carriageway, I would actually say this should be your main charging stop for the afternoon, and leave Knockrow as optional if you're driving onto Queensland. Of course, Knockrow is still good for Byron Bay and Ballina. I'm saying Maclean should be your main charging stop only because it's so close to the M1 highway, whereas Knockrow now requires a bit of a detour from the main highway onto the Gold Coast. For safety, I'm giving Maclean 7 points. It loses points because it's not undercover. There's no obvious CCTV that I can see, and because the hotel is not open 24 hours a day, there's no nearby assistance all the time. I'm giving 6 points for amenities. The bonus point is because there is a nearby beautiful recreation area as I showed in the video. The nearby general store also serves great coffee with a selection of non-dairy milk. So for Maclean, New South Wales Tesla Supercharger, I'm giving it a HSC score of 34 out of 50 or 68%. Alright, welcome to Macadamia Castle at Knockrow, just outside of Ballina. Here we are with our Model 3. Look at that, it's a Byron Bay Wildlife Hospital. That's new. That's nice. Alright, let's plug in. So, here we are. Joy's going to plug in for us. Actually, Joy makes a good point. Make sure you park close enough to the charging stall each time. And there are 6 stalls here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one up on the hill there, presumably for trailers as well. Look at this, new coffee, new menu. Recharge while you recharge. Join us for a coffee and a bite while you wait. New menu and delicious locally produced coffee available from our cafe. Protect, respect, enjoy. Hashtag for the wildlife. That's very kind of them. All right, let's go check it out. So this supercharger location is not quite off the main road. You've got to drive a little bit off, probably another 5 minutes off the main highway, but you know what, it's pretty easy enough to locate. And the road in is pretty easy as well. Lots of bays to wait if the chargers are crowded or occupied, so very well set up. And just beware when you come after hours that this place is only open until 4 p.m. and that's where the bathrooms are as well, inside the facility here. So after 4 p.m, no bathrooms. Okay, so we're done. Yep, that's it. And back into the cradle. Excellent. Thank you, Evan. Very easy. And it's a fairly tidy area as well. Pretty clean, not too much rubbish around the place. And there's some Type 1 chargers here as well. In case you need a bit longer, you can use an adapter for your Model 3. Okay, so for Knockrow, New South Wales, Tesla Supercharger location, 7 out of 10 for charging speed because it's a version 2 supercharger, 6 out of 10 for number of stalls, 8 out of 10 for ease of access. It loses points because it's now off the main M1 road for onward bound Queensland travellers. And I'm actually going to deduct another point because once you finish charging, you've actually got to stay on this road for quite a bit before you rejoin the M1 motorway. Having said that though, it's still a great charging location if you're travelling to the Ballina, Byron Bay region. 7 points for safety. It loses points because it's not undercover, there's no obvious CCTV, and because Macadamia Castle is not open 24 hours a day, there's no nearby assistance all the time. 6 points for amenities. The extra bonus point is for Macadamia Castle and also for the wildlife park. So for Knockrow, New South Wales, Tesla Supercharger location, I'm giving it a HSC score of 34 out of 50 or 68%. And as already previously mentioned, if you're travelling from Coffs Harbour to the Gold Coast and beyond, if you're going to pick between Maclean and Knockrow, I would personally pick Maclean because it's closer to the highway and because the hotel has longer opening hours for bathrooms and conveniences. However, if you're coming within daylight hours, then the Macadamia Castle at Knockrow is still a very good option. Alright, and the final supercharger review for this video is the Gold Coast Tesla Supercharger here in Queensland. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 for charging speed because they are version 2 Tesla Superchargers, 8 out of 10 for number of stalls, 8 out of 10 for ease of access. It lost a point because it's not actually 24-hour access. The car park closes at 1 AM. I'm also deducting 1 extra point because it may not be easy to find for new users. Shopping centre car parks are not always easy to navigate for a lot of people, myself included. Maximum score of 10 out of 10 for safety. It's in a shopping centre car park, it's secure, there's CCTV, assistance is available during car park, hence charging hours, and of course it's undercover. And 7 out of 10 for amenities. Bonus points because it's in a shopping centre to keep yourself entertained, and a place to sit down while your car is charging. So in summary, I'm giving the Gold Coast, Queensland Tesla Supercharger location a HSC score of 40 out of 50 or 80%. Okay, so here is my driving and charging data from our trip. I've retrieved this from Tesla Scope, who have very kindly given me a lifetime subscription, so thank you very much, Tesla Scope. So I've outlined in this table for our 2019 performance Tesla Model 3 departure and arrival state of charge for each leg of the journey, number of kilometers driven, how long it took, location of each charging stop, what type it was, start and end state of charge, how long it took, and how many kilowatt hours were added, the cost to charge the car each time. Of course, we've got free charging referral credit thanks to our very kind viewers over the years. I've also got how much it would cost approximately for an equivalent Tesla Model 3. I've also outlined an approximate cost in petrol for two different types of vehicles. One, a performance luxury vehicle traveling at 10 litres per 100 kilometres efficiency at $2 per litre in petrol, and also a more fuel efficient vehicle like a hybrid vehicle that's using 5 litres per 100 kilometres with petrol costs of $2 per litre. So let's go through it right now. The first part is the outbound journey from Sydney to the Gold Coast. I've outlined all the distances as well as the charging stops and also the costings, and you'll see that we travelled 859 kilometres, which took 615 minutes of driving time. We charged for 109 minutes, adding 141.62 kilowatt hours. It cost us nothing because we've got free referral credit. For another Model 3 driver, it might have cost about $73.64. For a less efficient petrol vehicle, it would have cost $171.86, whereas for a more fuel-efficient vehicle, it might have cost $85.93, slightly more expensive than a Tesla Model 3. So down here from Sydney to the Gold Coast, driving time was 10 hours and 15 minutes, whereas total supercharging time was 1 hour and 49 minutes, with each supercharging session taking 22 minutes, an efficiency of 165 watt-hours per kilometre. If you add both driving and supercharging time, it took us 12 hours and 4 minutes. 85% of the time was driving, 15% of the time was charging. So these stats were actually very similar to our inbound journey back to Sydney. Driving time was 9 hours and 45 minutes. Total driving and supercharging time was 11 hours and 24 minutes. Again, driving time 86%, charging time 14%. We charged for 1 hour and 39 minutes on the return trip back to Sydney with an efficiency of 141 watt-hours per kilometre. I think the difference between the inbound journey back to Sydney versus the outbound journey was because we finished our journey in the Gold Coast with 61% state of charge versus 26% state of charge back home in Sydney. And I think that mainly accounts for the difference in energy efficiency between the two journeys. If you add up the entire journey, including the distance travelled and charged during our time in the Gold Coast, then the Tesla computer told me that the efficiency was 181 watt-hours per kilometre. And if you would add up the costs for the entire journey, including our time in the Gold Coast, then it cost us nothing, of course, because of our free charging credit. For an average Model 3 driver, it would have cost $180.16. For a petrol vehicle driving at 10 litres per 100 kilometres, it would have cost $380. For a more fuel-efficient vehicle, it would have cost $190, just a bit more expensive than a Tesla Model 3, supercharging all the time. Of course, this cost might be less if you are able to find some free charging around town, or if you find a cheaper DC charger location, as some of the other third-party DC chargers have affiliations with motoring associations, which will give you a discount on the charging fee. Now, just a quick discussion on why it took us 12 hours and 4 minutes to drive to the Gold Coast and 11 hours and 24 minutes to drive back from the Gold Coast to Sydney versus ABRP or a betterrouteplanner.com, which tells us that from Sydney to the Gold Coast, it actually only takes 9 hours and 56 minutes to drive the entire journey, including 1 hour and 20 minutes of supercharging. So why the 1 to 2 hour difference? As I said before, probably 45 minutes of time was taken up driving into and out of Port Macquarie because we stayed overnight. And I think an extra bit of time was taken up as well because we made an extra stop between Port Macquarie and the Gold Coast. We stopped in Coffs Harbour as well as Knockrow on the way up to show you where the Tesla Superchargers are located in New South Wales. And on the way back, we also stopped at Coffs Harbour as well as Maclean. And I think that accounts for the extra time difference as well. If you were to stick to this plan outlined by a Better Route Planner, you could probably get from Sydney to the Gold Coast pretty close to that 10-hour mark. And that includes supercharging time of 1 hour and 20 minutes. Especially now that the road has improved so much between Sydney and the Gold Coast, it's pretty much almost all dual carriageway between the two destinations. But personally, driving with family, we're not in too much of a rush. We always try to time our charging with our meal times, for example, Coffs Harbour. We don't mind if it takes a bit longer to charge. We can actually stop to have some lunch as well. Alright everyone, well thank you so much for watching our family road trip from Sydney to the Gold Coast in our Tesla Model 3. Hopefully that has inspired you to take your own electric vehicle road trip in this beautiful country of ours. What did you think of my HSC or high-speed charging scoring system? Maybe you can apply some of the metrics to the DC charging locations you've visited in the past. If you've got any suggestions on how to improve my HSC scoring system, leave a comment below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe, and until the next Ludicrous Feed video, happy charging.